Well, hello. I don't know if you're like me and happen to have some corned beef left over. If you don't, it's okay. You can buy it. You can buy corned beef, or if you happen to make it for St. Patrick's Day, you might have some left over like I do, which is delicious. And what is one of the iconic deli staples we love with it? Corned beef hash, which hash honestly is from a French word that really just means to chop up, to put together. Onions, potatoes is what we've come down to. And that is what the general potato hash is. But this is gonna be a sweet potato hash, which is actually one of my favorites because I think that sweetness in the sweet potato has a nice complexity against the corned beef. Also, sweet potato have so much delicious nutrients for us. Not only because of the carotene and the color, but also they have so many more minerals in them. So what I'm doing is I am chopping up and finely dicing some sweet potato. And I'm doing it by making first planks out of the sweet potato and then cutting down to sticks. And then they're somewhat more even. You don't have to be perfect. You know why I love sweet potato? And it's honestly my go-to. If I'm gonna do a potato, even if it's a white potato, I will pick a white sweet potato because they have so many complex carbs in them that are healthy for us. They have a sweetness, obviously. They just are, I love them. They're totally versatile. You can use them in so many ways. I love them roasted on top of salads. I love them just having them around in the kitchen, so you can always do something with them. Now what I am doing, as you can see, is what? I have them in somewhat of a, we can say a fairly uniform dice. It's not perfect, but it's getting close. And what we're gonna do, so often sweet potatoes, often hash is made out of leftovers. It's made out of leftover cooked potato, some onion that you then saute with the potato and it all comes together. We don't have necessarily always just leftover potatoes lying around. If you do, congratulations. But instead what we're gonna do is take our potato and we're just gonna roast it quickly. So it's gonna give us that, you know, that almost leftover quality. I wanna chop up a little bit more just to make sure my roasting pan here is full. And you can see again, I chopped off any of the bad spots on it, but then I'm just going through and giving it an even dice. Look at that, perfect. We're gonna add that right on top. This is beautiful. So now we're gonna add some oil. We're just gonna put it over the top, make sure it's kind of drizzled, and then the only way you're gonna get it evenly coated in oil is to use your hand. And let's be honest, what makes a good roasted vegetable, no matter if it's a sweet potato or not, whatever it is going to be evenly coating it first in the oil. You need the oil, that's what's gonna help it caramelize, gonna add all those good flavors. And I'm keeping a clean hand because the next most important thing when you are gonna roast anything is seasoning. So we're gonna first start with salt. I'm gonna take my salt, and I always use kosher salt because I think the little bit bigger granulars it has is easier to evenly sprinkle around. And you know what? If we cook at home and only salt our homemade food, don't use processed food, it's really hard to have too much salt. It's when we eat out, it's when we have all of those processed foods that we're eating too much salt. So instead, if you cook everything at home, you're gonna be a lot better off. So you can see now I'm doing pepper, a good douse of it. I'm gonna throw this in the oven. We're gonna let this roast, and then we're gonna come back, get our onion going. It's gonna be good. While the potatoes are in the oven, and they don't take too long, I roast them at a high heat, and they're kind of a small dice. We're just gonna chop up some onion. So this is an iconic hash, is you have onion, you have potato. We're gonna fry and saute the onion, which is super important. I'm just doing a quick chop on it. And the thing is, you want an ample amount of onion if you're not sure, believe me. So it's like when you go to one of those diners, you know, one of those delis, and they have a good hash on the menu. This is what this is, like it's creating that same concept with lots of onion, fried up. So I have a cast iron skillet on the stove, and this is the cast iron skillet I literally keep on my stove or in my oven so I can quick pull it out. Do you guys do that? Grandma, mom always keep a skillet in the stove, so I do too, because a good cast iron skillet should always have a little bit of oil in it and be seasoned. So I'm gonna take my onion, my skillet is coming up to temp, and you can see, oh yeah. Do you hear that? That's the good stuff. So we're gonna put this in here, and what we wanna do is get some color on it, get it to start, you know, having some goodness. I'm gonna put just a little bit of salt on it because that's gonna help it break down quicker. A little bit more pepper to bring out flavor. And what I have is some delicious flavors going on. Now, while this is sauteing, I wanna put an egg on top. Now, I don't wanna fry the eggs. I want it to be a jammy, kind of semi-hard-boiled egg. You can do what you want, but I personally like a 7-minute egg. So I have some boiling water back there. and I'm gonna drop in my eggs. And then when it comes back to a boil, I'm just gonna time it for 7 minutes, and my eggs will be ready. My sweet potatoes are just about done. My onions, look at them. If we don't feel like we're in a diner, we do now. We got that good crusty color on them. My eggs are finishing up. So what I wanna do now is just build a little bit of flavor before I add in the sweet potatoes. So that's gonna mean a little grainy mustard. Sit with me here for a minute, just trust me. We're gonna do some grainy mustard, which I love the graininess. You could do a Dijon too, but there's just something about that graininess that, ugh. A little bit of Worcestershire. So what we're trying to mimic here is some flavors that you would maybe get in a diner where they have a cooktop that has all this umami just built into it, where we don't. So we're gonna push that around. Look at that, it smells good. We're just trying to build those deeper flavors that we're not gonna have at home always on top of whatever we're cooking on. So we have our sweet potatoes. Look at how beautifully brown they're getting. We're just gonna put them right in there. I have asbestos hands, which means, well, they just don't really burn. So I can go directly like this. You should probably use a spatula. It's just, you know, after a while, you just don't feel as much. So I have that going right in there. Now, oftentimes this is where the magic happens. When you're putting all this together, this is now a hash. So obviously this is a sweet potato hash since we're doing it with, hello sweet potatoes. Now what we wanna do is let this just kind of cook together a little bit, bring in some of those flavors of the onion, of that mustard, of that Worcestershire, and if some of the potatoes start mashing in, that's totally fine. That adds just more of that good texture. So don't feel bad if you even want to kind of mash in here with a spatula and get some of that mashing going on. That's awesome. It's whatever texture you like. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna chop up the corned beef, get that ready. We're gonna let our eggs finish up. Now, if you wanna see my corned beef, I took it out, you know, I had leftover. If you have some that you just bought, that's fine too. But it should shred or chop pretty easily because what we're doing is we're just cutting it with that grain and against it, and it's just kind of falling open. That's what I want. I want it just to kind of shred and fall open. So traditionally you would shred it and that would just kind of meld together and the hash would all become one. This honestly is leftovers 101. To me, you can make a hash out of anything. So if you have any type of leftover potato, if you have leftover beets, make a beet hash. Yeah, don't get scared of that, try it. But what we're gonna do is add this in. So we're gonna add in all this beautiful corned beef. My dog will come running in no time because he somehow just smells meat and good food whenever it's coming. We're gonna stir this all together, let everything just kind of cook. We'll get our eggs finished up. I'll shock them in some ice water so I can peel them. And we're gonna bring this together. So here at the end, when it's still hot and I pull it off, I have my eggs out. I have some fresh dill that I chopped. Fresh dill to me, especially when you have the corned beef and you have that sweet potato-ness going on, it's like a good thing. So at this point, you can kind of just make it however you want. Sometimes I like to have mine with some Greek yogurt if you want that extra creamy factor. Sometimes not, it just kind of depends. But put it into a bowl. Now, I have some different eggs over here. Come in here and see this. Here we have like a 7-minute egg, it's more firm. A 6-minute egg, you can tell is a little bit more soft. Then I have a 5-minute or a little under, and that one is gonna be the one I want on top of here because it is gonna be hopefully more yolky, and I like that is what I want, a really jammy egg over mine. Now you can do whatever you like. I just like my egg like that, but then you just go in, guys, and you try it. This is the best part. You know, you have to get some of all that in there. Oh, it's good. It's good. And as that yolk comes down and gives it more like richy creaminess, it's gonna even be better. Here's what I love about it. You get the wonderful, interesting flavors of the corned beef, which is that pickly almost beef. And then you get the sweet potato, which has that good roasted caramelization on it. And then the onion that's really fried and has that great skillet taste on it. It truly is like a diner classic. That dill just gives it a fresh pop at the end. That is delicious and I love. So what do I hope you do with this? I hope you make some corned beef hash. Even if you don't have leftover corned beef like I do, buy some corned beef and try it, because it is that good. It is delicious. I still have all the flavors going on in my mouth and I love it. Share this recipe around, because when you share these videos, it helps me, because it helps other people find me, but it helps people see how easy good homemade food can be. When we make food at home, we're gonna be happier, we're gonna be healthier, we're gonna be better, and that's the best part. Good food is for sharing, so check my website, wiseguy.com, get the recipe, use it, share it, pass it on, that's the point. Until next time, make something good and enjoy it. That's the point of life.